Welcome back to the Deep Dive, your essential shortcut to staying truly well-informed. Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're diving deep into the daily current affairs crucial for your UPSC preparation, specifically for June 19th, 2025, Part 1. We've got a fantastic stack of sources packed with crucial insights that will hopefully give you the aha moments you're looking for.
That's right. And as you know, some of these topics might ring a bell, offering a chance for some valuable revision, while others will bring fresh perspectives to your preparation. Our mission really is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and help you connect the dots, making complex information clear and memorable.
Exactly. So today's deep dive covers quite a range. Major international engagements, critical environmental updates, some fascinating breakthroughs in science, significant conservation successes, and we'll round off with other essential quick facts for your prep. Let's jump right in. We'll begin on the global stage with some recent high-level diplomatic activity. India's Prime Minister has just completed a really significant visit to Cyprus, first one in 23 years, I believe.
That's correct. 23 years definitely signals a renewed focus on deepening those strategic ties.
And moving from bilateral to multilateral, we're also looking at the 51st G7 summit. That was held in Kananaskis, Canada, just recently in 2025. And India participated as an outreach country, which is quite telling about its growing global influence, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's important to remember the G7's roots. It actually formed way back in the 1970s, right during the energy crisis. The whole idea was to coordinate policies on the macroeconomy, currency, trade, energy, the big stuff. And the members, just for quick recall for you listening, France, USA, UK, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Canada. Plus, the European Union is always represented, the major industrial economies, essentially.
Right. And at this particular summit, India's Prime Minister posed some pretty direct questions about terrorism to the international community, asking things like, will countries only get the threat when they are targeted? And how can you equate perpetrators and victims? And also questioning if global institutions will just sort of stand by silently. Pretty strong words.
Very strong. And following that, the summit did see some key outcomes. First, there's the Kananaskis Wildfire Charter. This aligns directly with those 2030 global commitments, the ones about halting deforestation and land degradation from the Glasgow Leaders Declaration. India endorsed it, which is notable.
Okay.
Then, building on Japan's plan for 2023, they launched the G7 Critical Minerals Action Plan. And he endorsed this one too. Shows a united front on securing resources for future tech.
Right. Critical minerals are key.
Definitely. And there was also a commitment to strengthen the World Bank-led RISE partnership. This is the Resilient and Inclusive Supply Chain Enhancement, focusing on robust global trade.
That makes sense.
And importantly, the G7 condemned transnational repression, TNR. This is basically states or their proxies intimidating or harming individuals outside their borders, a serious form of foreign interference.
Okay, TNR. Got it.
They also committed to prevent migrant smuggling through the G7 coalition and a 2024 action plan. And finally, Canada, as the G7 president, launched the G7 GovAI Grand Challenge. This involves these rapid solution labs to innovate AI adoption in the public sector. It ties into closing digital divides and the UN Global Digital Compact. So you see this climate, resources, supply chains, security, AI governance, quite a broad agenda.
It really is comprehensive. Okay, from the global stage, let's shift focus back home to a really critical environmental initiative, India's updated Green India mission.
Yes, this is a major update. The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, the MoAFCC, unveiled the revised mission document for the National Mission for a Green India, or GIM. They announced it on June 17th, which was the World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought. And GIM itself, remember, goes back to 2011. It was one of the original 8 missions under the NIPCC, the National Action Plan on Climate Change.
And the objectives are, well, pretty ambitious, aren't they? Increasing forest and tree cover by afforesting over 24 million hectares.
Huge area.
Massive. And improving ecosystem services, including carbon sequestration, and the big target, creating an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3.0 billion tons of CO2 equivalent by 2030. That's a cornerstone of India's NDC commitment.
It absolutely is. Structurally, GIM is built around 3 submissions: improving forest quality, increasing cover and restoring ecosystems, and crucially, enhancing incomes for forest-dependent communities. Funding comes from the mission's allocation and the National Campaign Fund. It's a 10-year mission running 2021 to 2030 and uses a bottom-up approach with Joint Forest Management Committees, the JFMCs, being key implementers on the ground.
And the strategies seem quite forward-looking, too, linked directly to those NDC commitments, like the micro-ecosystem approach,
Yeah.
focusing on vulnerable landscapes like the Air Valleys, Western Ghats, arid regions, mangroves, the Himalayas.
Exactly, targeting the most critical areas.
And involving the private sector, using CSR funds. That seems like a practical step.
Yes, leveraging corporate responsibility. Plus, tapping into carbon markets, selling credits from forestry and agroforestry.
Ah, that's interesting. Generating revenue, potentially.
Precisely. It has an economic incentive.
Yeah.
And finally, forming a proactive Green India force-trained youth involved in implementation and maintenance.
That private sector and carbon market angle seems quite innovative for funding. How significant could that be?
Potentially very significant. Carbon markets offer a way to make large-scale afforestation more economically viable. Given India's land mass and commitments, it could become a major player, generating substantial credits and funds. It really adds another dimension to the mission's sustainability.
Interesting. Okay, sticking with the environment but going global, there's the Global Drought Outlook 2025. This was released by the OECD.
Yes, and the findings are quite sobering. It reports that 40% of the world's land area is facing increasingly frequent and severe droughts. We've seen examples recently, right? Europe in 2022, California in 2021, the Horn of Africa. It's becoming more common.
An economic impact.
Substantial. A 3% to 7.5% annual increase in the cost of an average drought episode. And it's not just farming. Think about potential disruptions to hydroelectric power. India and Australia are mentioned. Or even inland water transport, like the issues seen with the Panama Canal. Crop yields can drop by up to 22%. It really ripples through the economy.
Wow. And the ecological cost.
Also significant. 37% of global land shows a major decline in soil moisture since 1980. And 62% of monitored aquifers globally are in decline. Groundwater is being depleted. And the human cost. Droughts are responsible for about 34% of disaster-related deaths, according to the WMO back in 2021. They worsen poverty, inequality, displacement. It's a truly interconnected crisis.
That is a stark picture. So what's being done? What are the key initiatives to prevent or manage drought?
Well, globally, you have the UN Convention to Combat Desertification's Drought Initiative and the International Drought Management Program run by WMO and the Global Water Partnership. Here in India, key initiatives include ARAMS, the National Agricultural Drought Assessment and Monitoring System, also the watershed development component of the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, WDC DMKSOY, and the Atal Bhujal Yojana, focusing on groundwater. And for your notes, remember the three main types of drought. Meteorological, that's about rainfall deficits, hydrological impacting rivers, lakes, reservoirs, and agricultural or ecological affecting soil moisture and plant life. Useful distinctions.
Okay, got it. Let's pivot now. A huge leap from Earth's challenges to a cosmic mystery. A new study seems to have pinpointed the location of the universe's missing ordinary matter. This sounds like a major discovery.
It really is. For decades, astronomers knew that, well, roughly half of all the ordinary matter, the baryonic matter in the universe, just wasn't accounted for in surveys. Just to clarify for everyone listening, ordinary matter is the stuff we know: gas, dust, stars, planets, you, me. Yeah. It interacts with light, made of baryons like protons and neutrons, but it's only about 15% of all the matter in the universe.
Only 15%, so the rest is
dark matter. That's the big mystery. It makes up about 85% of the material universe. It's invisible because it doesn't interact with light, or interacts very, very weakly with ordinary matter. It's the universe's unseen scaffolding, essentially.
Okay, so where was the missing ordinary stuff hiding? How did they find it?
This breakthrough came from researchers at the Harvard and Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, CFA, and Caltech. They use these incredible cosmic signals called fast radio bursts, or FRBs.
Fast radio bursts, right.
Yeah, these are intense, super brief blasts of radio waves, milliseconds to a few seconds long, usually coming from distant galaxies. They acted like cosmic flashlights. As an FRB travels through space, the different wavelengths of its radio signal get dispersed, slowed down slightly by the matter they pass through. It's like light going through a prism.
Oh, okay.
The amount of dispersion tells you exactly how much matter the burst traveled through. This gave scientists the first direct measurement of matter distribution across the vast cosmic web. It established FRBs as a reliable way to probe the cosmos and the distribution they found. About 76% of this missing ordinary matter is in the tenuous intergalactic medium, the space between galaxies. Around 15% is in the halos surrounding galaxies, and only about 9% is actually within the galaxies themselves. So most of it's really spread out.
Fascinating. Using cosmic flashes to map the universe. Okay, let's bring things back to Earth orbit with some cutting-edge technology. The NASA ISRO-SAR mission, NISAR, has arrived at ISRO's spaceport in Sriharikota for its upcoming launch. This is a big collaboration and something we've touched on before, so good for revision.
Absolutely. NISAR is incredibly ambitious. It's designed to scan nearly all of Earth's land and ice surfaces twice every 12 days. It uses synthetic aperture radar, SAR. Now, how SAR works is clever. It makes sharp images even in darkness or through clouds.
How does it do that?
Instead of visible light, it sends out pulses of microwave energy and then records the echoes that bounce back. The synthetic aperture part means it uses the spacecraft's motion to simulate a much larger antenna, getting very high resolution. The huge advantage is it can collect data day or night, 24/7, because microwaves penetrate clouds, smoke, even light rain. Continuous monitoring, basically.
That capability is amazing. Okay, shifting gears again, let's look at some really positive news conservation achievements. India is celebrating 50 years of its Crocodile Conservation Project in 2025, fittingly timed around World Crocodile Day on June 17th. This is a classic success story, definitely worth revisiting for your prep.
It really is a landmark project. It was formally launched back on April 1st, 1975. The impetus came from recommendations by the biologist H.R. Bustard. The main goal was twofold: protect the natural habitats of India's crocodiles and rebuild their populations quickly through captive breeding programs. It got significant technical and financial backing from the UNDP and FAO through the Indian government.
And the results, particularly in Odisha, have been remarkable, right? Odisha is unique in having conservation centers for all three native species.
That's right. Tikarpata in Satkosia focuses on gharials. Dangamal and Bhatarkanika is key for saltwater crocodiles, and Ramatirtha in Similipal works with mugger crocodiles. It shows a really dedicated species-specific approach within the state.
So how successful has the recovery been overall?
Quite impressive. The saltwater crocodile population is now estimated around 2,500 individuals. Bhatarkanika holds the largest share, but they're also found in the Andamans and the Sundarbans. The mugger crocodile has bounced back significantly, maybe 8,000 to 10,000 individuals now, reclaiming much of its historical range, especially the Ganga River system.
And the gharial, that was the most endangered, wasn't it?
Critically endangered, yes. But the recovery is promising. Over 400 nests are now recorded annually across key sites like the National Chambal Sanctuary, which spans 3 states, Katarnia Ghat, the Gandak River, Corbett Tiger Reserve, and Sun Gharial Sanctuary. And here's the crucial statistic. India now holds about 80% of the entire global wild gharial population. A huge conservation success.
That is fantastic, 80%. And the work continues.
Yes. Just this year, 2025, India announced a new gharial conservation project. The aim is to expand populations across the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Indus river systems, and also the Mahanadi in Odisha. Plus, institutions like the Madras Crocodile Bank keep doing vital work breeding crocodiles and supporting reintroduction programs. It's an ongoing effort.
Great. And for UPSC prep, the conservation statuses are key. Can you quickly list those?
Definitely. Good to have these handy.
IUCN, Critically Endangered, Wildlife Protection Act, WPA, Schedule 1 sites, Appendix I, Marsh Crocodile Mugger, IUCN, Vulnerable, WPA, Schedule Line sites, Appendix I.
IUCN, Least Concern, WPA, Schedule 1 sites, Appendix I. So all three are highly protected under Indian law and sites.
Excellent, thank you. Now, from living reptiles to ancient flora, researchers have found 23 million-year-old fossilized leaves. What's the story here?
This is fascinating paleobotany. These ancient leaves were identified as belonging to the genus Nothopegia. What's significant is that Nothopegia today is found only in the Western Ghats. So this discovery marks the oldest known fossil record for this genus, and it tells a story about climate change and migration.
How so?
The findings suggest that Nothopegia actually disappeared from northeast India millions of years ago. Why? Because of the Himalayan uplift. That caused regional cooling, changes in rainfall, wind patterns. The climate shifted. But the genus survived in the Western Ghats, where the tropical conditions remained relatively stable. It's a window into how ancient climate shifts drove plant extinctions and migrations. Today, Nothopegia is restricted to India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, with most species found right here in India, mainly the Western Ghats.
Amazing how fossils can tell such detailed stories. Okay, let's move into our rapid-fire round, also in news, hitting some other key facts and updates crucial for your preparation. First up, SCIAP. That's SCIAP. Under the Swachh Bharat Mission Urban, some cities are integrating electric vehicles, EVs, into household waste collection. This is supported by the Sustainable Cities Integrated Pilot Approach Project.
Right. SCIP started in 2016. Its goal is to help India promote sustainable urban planning, aligning with UN Habitat commitments. It's funded by the Global Environment Facility, GEF, and executed by UNIDO and UN Habitat, working closely with India's Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, MoHUA. The 5 pilot cities you should note are Bhopal, Guntur, Mysore, Vijayawada, and Jaipur.
Okay, pilot cities noted. Next, a historical event. The Nonia Rebellion. The Union Agriculture Minister recently paid tributes to freedom fighter Budu Nonia during his centenary celebrations. He praised the Nonia community for their rebellion back in the 1770s.
Yes, the Nonia Rebellion around 1770 was actually one of 2 major uprisings then, the other being the Sannyasi Rebellion. It went on for about 30 years, starting around 1750, aiming to push out the British. Its main centers were Hajipur, Tirhut, Saran, and Purnia in Bihar, led by the Lonia community. Lonia comes from Lavan, the Sanskrit word for salt. This community was traditionally involved in making saltpeter, which was crucial for gunpowder, as well as acid and sulfur. Budu Nonia himself participated in the later salt satyagraha, was arrested, and sadly killed.
Important historical context. Moving to geography. Shipkila Pass. Himachal Pradesh has reopened this motorable pass in the Kinnaur district to domestic tourists. It had been closed since the Doklam standoff in 2020.
That's right. Shipkila is a significant pass connecting India and Tibet, or China. Its old name was Pemala. The Indo-Tibetan Border Police named it Shipkila. And geographically important, the Sutlej River, known as Lankan Zangbo in Tibet, actually enters India through Shipkila. While we're on Himachal passes, remember others like Baralachala connecting to Ladakh, Rotangla connecting Kulu to Lahore and Spiti, Shingola also to Ladakh, and Barasu Pass connecting to Uttarakhand.
Good list. Sticking with geography, River Dhansiri. Researchers have proposed policies to revive this river after studying its pollution levels.
The Dhansiri originates from Laisong Peak in Nagaland. It flows along the boundary between Karbi Anglong district in Assam and Nagaland itself. Its main subtributaries are the Kakadonga and Bagdoi rivers. It eventually joins the Brahmaputra on its south bank. It's also important ecologically, as it's flanked by the Dhansiri Reserve Forest and Intanki National Park.
Okay, now for defense. Exercise Shakti. This is the biennial joint military exercise between the Indian Army and the French Army. The latest edition is set to take place in France.
Correct. And remember, India's other key joint exercises with France, Exercise Varuna is the Navy exercise, and Exercise Garuda is with the Air Force. Shakti is Army.
Got it. Shakti, Varuna, Garuda. Lastly, let's look at Barak Magan and Iran as a place in news. Barak Magan, which means lightning shield in Hebrew, is mentioned as Israel's shield against Iranian drones.
Yes, Barak Magan is an advanced naval air defense system developed by Israel Aerospace Industries, IAI. It's designed to counter a whole range of threats: drones, cruise missiles, high-trajectory projectiles, even shore-to-sea missiles aimed at ships. It's part of Israel's multi-layered defense, along with systems you might know like Iron Dome, David's Sling, the Arrow system, and the newer laser Iron Beam. Note that for David's Sling and Arrow, Israel collaborated with the U.S.
And why is Iran specifically in the news here?
The International Atomic Energy Agency, the IAEA, confirmed there was damage to uranium enrichment halls at Iran's Natanz nuclear site. This was reportedly due to Israeli airstrikes during something called Operation Rising Lion. Besides Natanz, other key Iranian nuclear facilities include the Fordow Enrichment Facility, the Bushehr Nuclear Power Plant, and the Isfahan Nuclear Technology Center. Geopolitically, remember Iran's location in the Middle East, bordering the Gulf of Oman and the Persian Gulf to the south, Caspian Sea to the north. It shares borders with Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iraq, Turkey, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Turkmenistan. Its landscape is dominated by the Iranian Plateau, featuring large deserts like Dasht-e-Kavir and Dasht-e-Lut, and major mountain ranges, the Zagros in the west and the Alborz in the north.
Okay, that was a packed rapid-fire round. Phew! What a comprehensive deep dive that was into the current affairs for June 19th, 2025, Part 1. We've really covered a lot of ground, from high-stakes international diplomacy and India's big environmental push to genuinely fascinating cosmic discoveries, those impressive conservation wins, and a whole lot of vital national updates.
Indeed. It's always striking how these things connect, isn't it? Global issues intersecting with India's efforts, scientific breakthroughs changing our cosmic view, and how patient long-term conservation work really pays off. Each piece, while distinct, definitely adds to the bigger picture for your understanding.
Absolutely. So thinking about you, the learner, what does this all mean? Try to see the connections. For instance, how might those G7 commitments on, say, critical minerals or even digital divides, how might they relate back to India's Green India mission goals? Or the push for sustainable cities using EVs, like we saw with SCAAT? Think about the ripple effects, too.
Right.
Global droughts, how do they impact not just agriculture, but energy, transport, even social stability? And how does understanding something as vast as the universe's missing matter connect, perhaps indirectly, to the progress of practical space missions like NISAR that observe our own planet?
And that leads to perhaps a bigger question to ponder. We're in a world grappling with escalating climate challenges, incredibly rapid technological shifts, and these constant geopolitical realignments. So how might all these developments we discussed today, the environmental policies, the tech advancements like AI and space observation, the security concerns like TNR or drone defense, the resource competition, how might they collectively influence India's long-term strategic path? Think about environmental policy, technological self-reliance, national security. What are the deeper implications beyond just today's headlines?
That's a great question to leave you with. We really hope this deep dive has given you plenty to think about and, crucially, helped you connect the dots for your UPSC preparation. If you found this valuable and want to keep staying well informed with us, please do take a moment to like and subscribe to the deep dive. It genuinely helps us create more of this insightful content for you. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep connecting the world around you.